Ready when you are.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. I'll call the meeting to order. This is the July 15th, 2025 meeting for the Town of Southampton Landmarks and Historic Districts Board. Present are William Hines, Susan Sherry Clark, Tim Ganettis, Jeff Gibbons, Vicky Kahn, Larry Jones, Ed Wisnowski, Samantha Malone, and Stephanie Davis are absent tonight. This meeting is being conducted under town and New York State law providing for in-person and remote participation. Individuals may undertake remote participation by activating the Zoom link found on the published agenda and the town clerk's meeting portal page. Viewer-only observations found by activating the live link at the top of the town clerk's portal page. Online participation is being moderated by CTV and tonight's moderator, Peter Lewis. For comment on a particular agenda item, please notify CTV via the chat or raise hand function so that comment can be made. Commentators in person and online will need to provide name, agency if relevant, and place of business or residence. With that, the first item to be considered is the approval of the minutes. And an error was called to attention by Susan that it says the meeting adjourned at 7:33 and the meeting adjourned at 8:33 p.m. On June 17th passed. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Seconded by Susan. All in favor, say aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. With that, for managing the discussion items for the agenda tonight, I'll turn it over to our discussion manager, Vicky Kahn.
Thank you, Ed. So we'll follow along on the agenda as published, starting with the demolition permit applications. Is there anyone here for representing 1135 Maycox Road in Bridgehampton? It's a demo of the existing two-story residence and a new construction on the old footprint. Anybody here?
There's nobody here,
Discussion?
I don't think. And, but I'll just present my summary of what I know. Online is an aerial view of house. The assesses AYB is 1930. I think the reason why it's 1930 is that's the evidence of the earliest aerial photograph imagery for locating the house. The house is, I believe, probably dates from about 1912 or 1915 in terms of its construction. Some of the features in the application, which I'll bring up here. Some of the interior details indicate some original materials that are probably still with the house, particularly some of the window and door features, as you see in this picture. The house was built by an individual who married into the Cooper family. All of this area here was basically settled very early in Mecox by the Cooper family. And I'll just bring up basically a 1916 real estate map to provide the reference here. This house sits on the corner of Ocean Road and Mecox Road. This is the house here on the 1916 map. The census of 1915, 1920, 1930 shows it being occupied by Edward Mayer. He was a poultry farmer. This was farming area. If you go back to the 1930 aerials, you'll see that there was basically all farmland here. The T.E. Cooper here was Thomas Emmett Cooper. He was the son of a Thomas Cooper, who was the son of a Matt Cooper, going back to the late 1700s in this area. The two sons, there were two sons and a daughter. One son is Mortimer Cooper, who has this little piece of farm left from the original farm, and the other one was Herbert Cooper, who eventually inherited the house of T.E. Cooper located here. That house lasted until about the 1980s, but it was built about 1750. It was a very old house. Herbert Cooper was farmed with his father a little bit, but basically was a carpenter most of his life, and built many structures in the Bridgehampton area and was involved with them. The daughter married Edward Mayer, the poultry farmer, and that's how his house got built there. Go back to the 1902 map, you do not see the structure present at all, and you don't see the Mayer name. He was born in Connecticut and migrated over here sometime probably around 1910 or so. So I'm sorry, probably a little bit earlier than that, but he was not born in Southampton town at all. With respect to the property, I had some, you saw the aerial photographs. Let me see if I can bring up the houses were very obscured by this is one of the driveways, the U-shaped driveway that existed for the house. Moving trucks were present in that part of the driveway, and the moving trucks were parked in the other entrance to the driveway, and it is fairly overgrown with landscape elements and not familiar and visible for the neighborhood at all. The Architectural Review Board has already approved the replacement house. I'm not sure of all the elements that are involved. A lot of work has gone on in the absence of anything coming before this board. This is wetlands here. If one looks at the, you can see here how the house is positioned, and how they're going to get a house 6 times the footprint of this house, I don't know, but that's for some other agency to take care of. But you can see this has periodically in very wet times actually been very swampy, and this is a pond here that remains for this wetlands parcel. So I don't see major historical significance for it. I think there's been some redoing of the house in terms of its features, just to take a little bit of a look again on the obliques. If you it has kind of a porch area in one place. I'm not sure I can bring it up to the right kind of visibility here, but anyway, I don't see the house as something that is strongly worth preserving at all.
I had one comment is, so actually going forward, the way we understood it, the policy is going to be that we review it before the ARB.
Yeah, the ARB is in the midst of some board changes, and stuff is, I think, got shuffled around because the chair of the ARB resigned, and there's some probably very quick action being taken here and there in order to keep the business flowing before them. So that's my interpretation of that.
I just remember the email that came up.
Yeah.
The other question I had is, you know more about landscaping in Bridgehampton. I noticed that there was a linden tree that was going to be removed for the new house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, is your mic on?
Were there other linden trees around here besides
The mic.
Oh.
The green light was.
Were there other trees in the air, linden trees in the area besides Louis Philippe? I mean, the ones that came from the Louis Philippe.
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
The
I just thought if it was
the expert on Louis Philippe linden trees is right here.
Louis Philippe were beech trees, and some linden, but mainly beech. Most of the linden trees ended up on Montauk Highway and Mecox Road. Mr. Thomas B. Clark's house that was the St. James Hotel. That was called Linden Land because of all the linden trees that were up there. But the Louis Philippe mainly were beech, and there are beech trees, a little bit further north at Paul's Lane. I don't know about on that property. I'm sure there's something.
And I'm not sure. It's just when I see linden, that's what comes to mind. But if they knew that and it had some significance, but we don't.
And which one is that one, Susan? Can you see it on the aerial?
It was on one of the surveys. It was part of the application.
Let me see if I can get the survey here.
Yeah, it does show on the survey that it's going to be removed, but they may have to do that in order to stay within, to build that new
It
footprint.
was that one, right?
And they have the restraints of the wetlands.
It was either that one or the other. Said remove linden. It was like.
Removing it, or are they moving it on the property, or it's just
well, when they say remove, I assume they.
Yeah.
But I thought if they moved it, but if it's not that one, it was the other one. One of the two said it's the other one, remove.
Well, in any case, it's not been yet declared a
That's-
landmark tree,
Oh.
which is, there was
No, and if we
There
don't
was
know,
a-
we can't say, recommend it to even, that they might be interested in that tree.
Yeah.
Okay, that
there
was,
was a proposal before the town board for landmarking trees.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody was following that at all, but it was withdrawn to be relooked at basically as part of an overall policy on tree cutting in the town. So there's probably more to be thought about and discussed about that down the road. But that certainly is, to me, an interesting question, because the history that I've seen, especially in this neighborhood, because not far from here across the street was another Victorian beautiful house, well maintained, owned by Baldwin Cook. Baldwin Cook served at the life-saving station just at the end of Ocean Road, as well, by the way. Mortimer Cooper
And her
did.
Cooper, he was also.
Yes, Mortimer, yeah.
And Herbert too.
Well, my knowledge of Herbert was that he was in the, he was in a different kind of boat carrying different commodities during Prohibition.
Or just farmers making a living.
Yeah. So, but in any case, tree business is, obviously, I think, something on the agenda. When Baldwin Cook's house was demolished, the first thing they did 6 months before was take down the beautiful elm and maple trees around. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, they were just stumps.
It just made the house stand there as an orphaned element of the landscape, and just help create a lack of sentiment for it as people pass by it. And the same thing with the Wallace Halsey house on Main Street in Bridgehampton, where they took all the trees down before applying for a demolition permit several months later, making the house look, barren and isolated on the main street like that. So I think stuff like that should be addressed someplace along the way. Yeah. So, in any case, my suggestion is, to ask the board that there be no
Does anyone have any
objection. No.
objection? No objection. All right, if we could have a vote from the board.
So I'll do the report.
The resolution, yep. Thank you. All right, moving on to 233 Halsey. We actually have 2 items for that property, because we also have a construction application for 231 Halsey, and it really involves the same barn.
Yeah,
Would you like
I
to?
think, if we handle them both together under 231, okay.
Okay. Very good. All right, so we'll postpone that till we get to 231, because it is really the same property. 22 Lincliffe, is there anybody here for the demo of 23 Lincliffe, which is seen better days?
Yeah, this
Photos of that.
application that came for Lincliffe is for a house that is in terrible shape, to say the least. And it's been deteriorating for, looking at the imagery of multiple years on the town GIS system. The house has been deteriorating, and during the past year, part of it collapsed. And so that's what we basically are looking at in terms of demolition. This is something that can't be restored no matter what. So my recommendation, no objection.
No objection. We have a vote from the board. We're all in agreement.
And I'll
you.
do the response on that.
All right, so now we can come to 231 Halsey Lane.
Okay.
You're doing that as well, right, Ed?
So this is a product of the subdivision of an old farmstead that exists in Bridgehampton. It's the Topping Farm, now Ray Topping Jr., but the original Topping, probably, I don't know, around 1890 or so, when they bought out, I believe, the land from Halsey as farmers on Halsey Lane, that was Frank Topping. And the farmland has recently been purchased for preservation by a combination of the CPF and private donors who lived around the farmland and managed to come up to subsidize the CPF purchase to keep the farmland open and to preserve their neighborhood as well. But the estate of the Toppings is subdividing the property that they had. The house is about an 1890 house, this house here. These barns have AYB of 1900. I suspect they might be a little bit later in terms of, I haven't personally inspected it, but my sense is that the 1916 real estate map just shows a house and an out structure, just two, on the Topping farm at that time. So in comparison, you can see other farms where they have multiple outbuildings identified for them. So what the plan is for this subdivision is to take this barn, chop it about 2/3 of the way in its length, and move it to this location on this parcel where the farmhouse remains, in order to keep that portion of the farm intact. They provided a let me go up one here, because I got in the other folder. Okay, so this is what I just showed you, but they provided in the application the graphic of how it would be relocated. This is the existing barn, a portion to be removed and demolished, and the remaining portion to be relocated here on the property. The barn is not readily visible from the street in terms of its visibility to the neighborhood. I would say it's the barn is not particularly, other than being dated back to maybe the first decade of the 1900s or so, or maybe even later than that. It doesn't have much historic quality to it. The question was, for me, it's kind of a practical solution to trying to preserve some aspects of the value of the barn, rather than seeing the sale of a subdivided parcel see to it being eventually demolished and removed completely. I don't know if there are other thoughts about this.
I just hope it's feasible.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any comments?
I was going to say, just looking at the photographs, I mean, I saw there were, I mean, in the GIS, there were 2 1900 barns and 1 1931 barn and 3 1900 sheds. But I'm not going to, this one didn't look as old. I mean, with those interior photos, is
I think, yeah,
So I'm guessing it might be the 1931. It
Yeah.
makes, it doesn't make any difference one way or another, because they're, it looks like that's the best way to save it, but it didn't look that old.
No, I think Ed mentioned that he also questioned the AYB. Well, if there are no objections, I think we go ahead and state
and
so.
I'll file the reports on both the demolition as no objection.
And the construction.
And on the relocation, construction application, okay.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on to 129 Sabonic Inlet, Tuckahoe, the windmill refurbishment. Is there anybody here? Sir, would you like to, actually, would you like to come up here and sign in? And if you sit right by the microphone there, we'll all be able to hear you.
This one's on here.
They're both on. Take your pick. And if you could introduce yourself, that would be terrific.
Good evening, Tony Panza, AIA Architect for National Golf Links of America with Rogers McCagg Architects. Really just here on behalf of the club and the project to answer any questions that you might have. We had a site visit, went through some quite interesting history for the windmill, and all we're looking to do is refurbish it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank you for that nice tour. As a matter of fact, you guys ought to have, people ought to be able to pay to tour the maintenance facility alone. That's amazing. I don't spend much time around golf clubs, but boy, what an interesting place. And besides the high upkeep, the high maintenance you guys do on the clubhouse and stuff, that's all very impressive. And I'm sure it's what members demand, but it's impressive to see buildings maintained in a high order. And we didn't get hit by a golf ball. That's good while we were there. But fantastic. I guess I should turn this on. Fantastic windmill, just incredible. The siting of it, the location, conditions is good, And I'm shocked to hear that those two window boxes they show up in that early photograph that Julie found. And so we just, as a matter of fact, those slides are that's of course the wind shaft we're looking at, and the cast iron two-piece gear at the far end of it. There's no evidence that I saw. It was a little dark up there, but I didn't see any type of power takeoff that would go down to run a pump. But one way or another, they had to get water up into the tank. And I'm assuming because it's around 1916 that perhaps had electricity, you run a DC or AC motor to a pump, and you don't have to have the blade. And you could fill it. I just didn't see any place in particular where a supply was run up to the tank, but it's a huge tank. It's fascinating to me how these buildings are capable of holding that kind of weight, but they do.
So some on the board might not know, it's not a working windmill. There's a water tower inside, and it's just.
But it is the symbol of the club.
There's a shell around it, and the cap is working. So that's why you see the shaft. There is a break. The sails rotate, but what we would assume from 1915 is they only rotate for maintenance. There's no reason for them to. They're not
Actually
connected
turn.
to anything else besides.
It was
What's
an
fascinating
empty
about this is
performance.
The mechanicals in this windmill are way different from what we see like with the BB mill, some of the other ones, because it's so much later, but very sophisticated. The way you can pull the brake has this big band or belt that's going around that flywheel. But what's way different is that on most ones we look at, that particular wheel, the brake wheel is, usually has gear teeth on it, and that's what runs a shaft down to run a pump or something. And this doesn't look like it ever had that. But what's really fun about the interior is that all this mechanical stuff is mostly all intact. And I'm assuming when you they're fascinating. I'd love to see that you're going to lift the roof off in October.
Lift the cap off.
The cap, I mean, it's roof clad or shingle clad, but down to like the sill plates
Yes.
on the, or the upper plates really, and set it down. And apparently one crane's going to do this job. That's going to be impressive. But cool thing there about this photo, if you're looking, you can see this one, is that's a big block of marble that's hewn out to form a half circle trough that acts as a bearing surface that the wind shaft turns in, and obviously being well lubricated. But the idea of using what looked like white Carrara marble, never heard of such a thing. So that's pretty cool. It's cracked in a few places where it looks like the iron fasteners expanded and cracked and caused the metal caused the marble to crack. But very interesting, and no telling how much that, it looks like 300 pounds worth of marble in there, but a lot of space inside it. And Julie, you didn't figure out what that piece was running up the outside in that old photo.
No, that's your department. I don't know.
I couldn't see a sharp enough image of it.
Yeah.
Usually when there's a board like that on the outside, I'm assuming that's a board, not a boxed in pipe or something.
Tony, any thoughts from you on
No, I
that?
couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah. I don't know if you all know, but there are photographs Eugene Armbruster took in the 1920s out here. New York Public Library has digitized, there's like 5,400 photographs.
Oh.
And they're all online now. So it's a very interesting take on the 1920s. He took numerous pictures of the windmill, a couple of the golf club, but mostly of the windmill. And there's just an interesting strip of something down the side of it.
Yeah.
What it was for, I don't know. But
Yeah.
it was, I think those pictures were 1923, 25, something
Yeah.
like that. So it's early on in its,
And it looks
Yeah.
identical to what you see today, except for
It seems to me like the
This-
blades are longer.
this vertical element. We were surprised when we saw it because of the window boxes. We didn't think they were original, but they were
But
there
they
in
are.
1923.
yeah.
Wow.
very
Not
sweet.
those window boxes.
Right,
no,
but
window boxes.
But window boxes.
That's the
right.
first ones I've ever seen that date back that usually they cause such a mess and rot out the walls and stuff. But
I mean, Susan did a nice report about some of the history and the story of the windmill. One member didn't like looking at the water tower. And Charles McDonald, Tony can talk to all of this, but that he basically built this windmill around to cover the water tank inside. So he didn't spare any expense, which I guess Mr. Pomeroy, who was the complaining member, was left with the bill.
That's a great project.
So it's a great story.
So
it
this-
seems like the blades
this-
were longer looking at
Longer.
that photograph.
I just
But you have to count the horizontals to figure it out.
I didn't notice that pediment underneath the blades so
A
much.
little bit of a swoop there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the old photographs, it's very well defined. It's really
Well, you can see it here, yeah.
a little bit, yeah. I mean, if there's a head-on photo, you can see it.
The little deck that goes around it between the first and second levels there is decoration. It's not there's no access to it, and it doesn't look like it was meant to walk on.
Correct.
The story that is associated with it that Susan was referencing is that Daniel Pomeroy, who was described in some literature as the head of Condé Nast, which I found no evidence of. He was a banker in New York,
Financier.
and made the suggestion of getting the windmill, and McDonald, the initiator, and and entrepreneur behind it, got it and in theory sent the bill to him for the windmill and its construction. And there's a plaque on the windmill, says erected 1916 in honor of Charles Blair McDonald, creator, president, and autocrat of the National Golf Links of America by Daniel Pomeroy. So the story has this kind of testimony to it on the side of the windmill. So,
Well, it
so
merits that
there
and
was
more.
a suggestion that in the process of the repair and renovation that take place, that perhaps there be some photographic documentation process involved with it?
Yeah, we've been already starting with the documentation of it. We have a company by the name of Husk Preservation that they're timber framers on windmills and their millwrights. They've already started to procure old growth timbers from older structures down south, and they're milling them. And as they go through that process, they're already keeping photos of everything. So everything, the timbers that go into are all old growth.
That's great. About how long is this project anticipated to take? Just out of curiosity.
Just November, December, January, put it back on in February.
Not too long. Very good.
Yeah, that's gonna be quite a challenge. The Husk firm is, I looked at their website and it's interesting. They're out of, I forget Massachusetts. And, they do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you don't run into many people that'll re-chisel millstones that are granite typically to sharpen them. And, apparently they do that besides, timber framing and stuff. So that's thanks for that. That's something that's nice new firm that I didn't know about. And they worked out here. They worked in Roslyn on the mill there and on Shelter Island.
Yes.
On the plantation as the windmill. But
And the woman owned and operated the business, which is
Nice.
Yeah.
Do we have any other comments from the board? I think we have no objection. All approved? All right.
great.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Have a great
Thanks.
evening.
Thank you.
And should I do the report on it? Okay, so.
Thank you.
What's that?
Do they want to landmark it?
No. They might put it in the recommendation. Consider it.
Oh,
Consider it.
absolutely.
That's right, exactly. We certainly have the documentation on it. All right, moving along to 2422 Montauk Highway in Bridgehampton. Do we have anybody representing this project? Is there anybody online?
Let me get the.
No one has their hand up, at least yet.
All right.
And
Also, Julie, just so you know, we hear everything that you say very clearly. If you want to be perfectly, perfect clarity for every syllable, if you want, whatever, you could always sit up at the desk in front of
you're
Vicky.
Ex officio here anyway, take the ex officio seat.
I'm the
So-
mother of three. My voice carries.
You'll practice, right?
So this is,
Photograph there.
this is the nail salon coming next door to the Eddie Arthur salon, hair salon. We dealt with this before on Main Street, Bridgehampton. And these pictures I took today, and as you can see, it's not yet installed. The question is basically, with such great visibility of the window glass to the sidewalk and to Main Street viewing, whether or not the interior renovations presented any problem. And in my look at the, I thought very well done rendition of the interior renovation, basically, this would be the Main Street side entrance, and what you see is the stations of the hair salon, masked for the most part by a receptionist partition in the front, without too much of the busyness of nail business that is supposed to take place. So, and I didn't see any questions of lighting that were proposed there. The other aspect of the visibility to the street, which the application had, good rendition of, is one, there'll be, obviously a sign above the nail salon, and then it's window material that is there. And just to blow it up, you can see that the part of this, the middle panel will have the name of the nail salon again, and then it advertises what kind of services: dip powder nails, acrylic nails, hard UV gel, something body something, and I don't know. It gets rather dark to decipher on that side, on the left panel. And on the other side is just the telephone number for appointments, and I guess the online URL addresses. We'll be talking about another Main Street store in a moment, but we don't have any kind of reference and standard here at this point in time for how much you put on a window from the inside. While I might think that there could be too much writing and text on a window, this does not seem extreme at this point in time to me. The question of having the window level sign of the nail salon versus the sign over the windows. When you're walking along the sidewalk, you're not looking up at the immediate above your head, but this is more at eye level. I don't find that particularly offensive in terms of its presence there. So my suggestion is that we just respond that we find no impact of the construction on the visible appearance of Main Street that requires any other approval. So,
Members of the board, are we all in agreement? Thank you.
okay.
Excellent, thank you. All right, next, Bill, would you like to talk about 85 Lewis Road?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so this property is located in the north part of East Quogue, north of Montauk Highway, north of Old Country Road, and north of the Long Island Railroad at a fork in the road between Lewis Road and Spiny Road. Parts of East Quogue were originally known as Fourth Neck, Pine Neck, Atlanticville, and Oakville, and this area seems to be closest to Oakville. The application states that the work is to include adding a second bathroom within the home, updating the kitchen, changing the heating from fossil fuel to an electric heat pump, adding air conditioning throughout the house. They are also renovating the front porch and increasing the length of it across what they call the front of the house, which is really, as you view it from Lewis Road, is really the right-hand side. But they're continuing the porch towards what is really the rear of the house. They're adding a reverse gable in that side. They're also updating electrical and plumbing where necessary. The work is in progress. Construction drawings of the modifications are included in the package, and they don't seem to include everything that's being done or the way things are being done. The elevation in the drawing under the little gable on the side in that upper drawing shows a door in the center of the gable with a window on either side of it. But as you move to the bottom, to the lower part of the plan, it shows the door off to the left and a triple window to the right of it. Little things like that just aren't coordinated well. They didn't mention the terrace on the upper right-hand. That darker gray area is all terrace area. There also appears to be a pergola on it, which again was not in their notes as to what the construction was going to be. The roof was wood shingles at one point. It's all asphalt now. The siding looks like it's 5-year-old, maybe less even, cedar shingles. The windows are mostly Anderson windows, a couple of what look like Marvin windows, no original windows, no original doors on the exterior. The interior looked like it was completely gutted. All the interior finishes look new. The kitchen's been removed, the existing bathroom's been removed, and then the new bathroom is being installed as well. There's some different places in the house where framing has been updated as well. I'm not sure if they were cathedraling ceilings and things, not being familiar with the house before the work started. There is a stop work order on the house. On the 1858 chance map, there's no owner of the property and no dwelling shown, but south of the property is owned by an R. Terrell. The 1873 Beers, Comstock, and Klein map indicates the subject property now owned by C. Terrell and only shows the dwelling, not the barn. 2 of the dwellings to the south are owned by an R. Terrell and an L. Terrell. Lewis Road was opened. It's also been known as Oak Tree Road, Oak Road, and Box Tree Road. And Spiny Road, which this is at the fork of, had not yet been opened. The 1896 E. Belcher Hyde Company map indicates the properties owned by E. Terrell, actually, the spellings have now changed, and only shows the dwelling, not the barn. Spiny Road, again, did not exist yet. The 1902 E. Belcher Hyde map indicates the property now owned by Mrs. L. B. Moore, shows both the dwelling and the barn, and Spiny Road still not indicated. The 1916 E. Belcher Hyde map indicates the property is still owned by Mrs. L. B. Moore and now only shows the dwelling. For some reason, the barn is not shown. Spiny Road is still not indicated. Terrell appears in 3 different spellings on these historic maps. They all start T-E-R-R, 1 ends in I-L, 3 end in R-I-L-L, and 1 ends in E-L-L. So Terrell, and Terrell. But again, the names are on the same parcels at different times, so you know it's the same people. They're just changing the spelling of it, correcting or mistaking.
Photographer didn't do a good job.
Yeah. There was a Frank L. Terrell, who was the postmaster in East Quogue in 1913, a Walter I. Terrell, who was postmaster in 1921, and 10 other Terrells throughout the vicinity of East Quogue. So the Terrell family seem to own quite a number of parcels in this area. The subject property is not listed in the Southampton Historic Resources Survey, the AKRF of 2014. It shows 4 other historic resources along Lewis Road, one being the Oakwood Cemetery and one being the Box Tree Monument, indicating the location of what they claim to have been the first letterbox in the United States. The subject property is listed in the East Quogue Hamlet Heritage Area Report from 2014, which lists 10 historic resources on Lewis Road. This is number 45. It is circa 1870, C. Terrell, and later Mrs. L.B. Moore home. It states that the home is, on this property, consists of a primary 2-story volume with a front-facing gable that has been added onto and changed over the years. It is clad with cedar shingles and an asphalt roof and has a central rear brick chimney and a variety of window types. The home is identified as the Mrs. L.B. Moore residence on the 1916 map, and on the 1902 map indicates it as the C. Terrell home. No house is shown in this area on the 1858 map, although town records indicate an 1875 construction date. A circa 1870 construction date appears more likely. In the mass appraisal information, the AYB of the residence is 1875, although the dwelling does first appear on the 1873 map, so 1870 may be more correct. The barn, now CO'd as a detached garage, has an AYB of 1927, although it is a barn on the map in 1902. There was a shed with an AYB of 2005, but it no longer appears to be on the property. Again, there is a stop work order on the construction, which has already started. The dwelling can be seen from Lewis Road, but not readily visible from Spiny Road. The barn is not readily visible from Lewis Road, but can be seen from Spiny Road. The one-story front and rear sections of the dwelling appear to be prior additions. Looking at the foundation of the house, the main central section is brick. Part of the rear one-story addition has a brick foundation. Then it has two different types of block foundations, so it may have been done in 2 or 3 different parts.
Are there foundation pictures in here?
What is that?
Are there foundation pictures in here?
Yes, there are.
Oh.
Yep. Yep, a little further. Yeah, maybe I put them towards the end with the foundation. There you go, okay. So if you go back one, there you can see the brick foundation, which is under the sliding door. Mm-hmm. Then it converts to block. As you go around the corner, the next photo, or the opposite side, there's 2 different blocks there, about 1.5 blocks on the corner, and then they continue as a different block to the left. And then the next photo shows the rear, this is the front of the house, which looks like a sloping slab that was leveled and had a curb on it in that center area. So again, it looked like perhaps it was a porch or a garage or something, and that they leveled up the slab. This is the rear of the house, which has one type of block on the left, one on the right, and in the middle is blocks set on their side to act as vents, and then insulation stuffed in there because there's block missing. The gray area in front of it is all the new terrace that's supposed to get some kind of a paver set on it. So that's all new. I would have thought they would have fixed the foundation before they did that. This is one of the posts to the porch in the front. They appear like they're going to be repaired and remain, which was good to see. So I had no objection to the construction, as other than the few posts here and a little bit of the exterior trim, all of the roofing, siding, windows, doors, even the mass of it have all been changed in the past. There appears to be that there was a door on the side. There's a big piece of plywood over it now. Now there's a window there. So it seems like there's a lot of changes going on. This is the extension of the porch towards the rear of the house. So this is actually being built in front of the rear addition. So in the rear section, multiple framing members, some new, some old, an LVL. So it almost appeared like they had taken the ceiling out, installed the LVL as a structural ridge in order to open up that rear space. And they put another one that crosses it in the center to support it in the center of that span. If you look at the boards to the lower part of the picture, they're going up. The chimney is corbelled well off to the side.
Wow.
And they had several boards, I guess, that they used to support that brickwork as they were constructing it.
Slanted chimney,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's one in my house like that with the
Yeah.
boards supporting the brick.
So they could get it to come through the center.
Yeah.
Yeah. The drawings do show that the chimney's being removed. They're going with gas equipment, and I'm assuming it's going to be direct vent. So here we have, as we do in so many of the homes up in our way, the circular brick cellar.
I lived in one of those. That's what that.
Yeah, that will be remaining. As you look through the basement, there's been a lot of cutting out of brick and removing things in order to get ductwork, plumbing, other things through there. A lot of wooden posts, helping here and there, other framing members added over the years. As you looked up at the subfloor, there were tongue and groove boards, plywood, OSB. The house has gone through a series of changes over the years. And there is the barn out in the back, which doesn't have any work scheduled for it at this time. Yep, there it is. The taller right-hand section is the original volume. The left-hand section was not on the survey in their application from 1996. And looking at the framing inside, that's definitely much newer. Been a lot of window changes, I believe, to that building. A lot of casement or awning windows installed in it that probably were not original. But again, we don't, and particularly that sort of odd combination. But again, there's no work being scheduled for that. Yeah, so the framing inside the barn did look like early 1900s, and definitely the framing in the attic and the cellar of the house definitely looked like 1870 would be appropriate date for it. Yeah, here you can see where the lean-to was added right over the siding of the original barn, which was red, which in the GIS photos in 2014, it was still red. So that this part is definitely even newer than 2014.
So you have no,
What's that?
in your conclusion, you have no objection?
So I had no objection to the work that they were doing. I think there's been enough changes to the house in the past that it really isn't have a lot of historic value. Definitely all the exterior historic fabric has been removed from it.
Right, right.
And I wasn't even sure that the porch was original. When you look at the volume added to the front of the house, the porch goes up that side a little bit and then has the gable in the front, where typically the older houses had a hip in the corner and ran the sort of the shed roof across the front. So I wasn't sure if that front section was added, well, definitely the front section was added later, but was that porch then added at that time as well? It was hard to tell.
So they're altering a porch that's already been altered?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I had no objection to what they were doing.
Any other questions, comments? No? All right. We're all in agreement? Yes?
Yes.
All right, Bill, you're right at the recommendation. Thank you. All right, 58 Church Lane. Application of legalized existing work done. No new work proposed.
Let's see. This application is for work done. The applicant states that the work was done before their ownership, and that this is to legalize the changes that were made to this outbuilding
Right.
on Church Lane in Bridgehampton. The applicant's word is good enough for me that they're not responsible, and I would myself say that, my recommendation would be no objection.
No objection, right. I agree. Yes, we are all in agreement, no objection.
And I'll do the response then.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the COAs. First one is 2405 Montauk Highway. It's the issue of the awnings.
Okay.
I think we have some photos on that. Right?
This one is, I just want to show you that, there's an application for a certificate of appropriateness, but everything was installed
Already.
without a certificate of appropriateness. I don't know when that took place. The application doesn't reflect that. My thoughts are that there are a couple of options here. One option is to, quote, legalize work already done. The second option would be to not approve anything until a notice of violation of town code is issued to the applicant. A third option, somewhat in between those two extremes, would be postpone consideration until we have the applicant come in person to be questioned about the business that took place without a certificate of appropriateness. There may be other options, but those were the three that are in my mind.
Well, how did it get through the building department?
What's that?
How did it get through the building department to come to us without that, without either a violation notice or some application, formal application?
Well, I'm sure they applied and, got, the application went through its process, but they did not wait for a certificate of appropriateness. And there are some issues I see with, looking at the business here. The window language is, to me, a little perhaps overdone. This is a side of the building close to the sidewalk. This is the sidewalk you see runs from Main Street on the left to a parking area on the right, which you cannot see at the moment. But you see a lot of sloganeering associated with what they have painted on the windows. Um, so a lot of real estate hype, so to speak, that is in the slogans. If you look, you can see this is the Montauk Highway side on Main Street in Bridgehampton. I think it says most followed real estate brand in the world. And then as well with the window decoration. The window decoration is not as extreme here with the one arc of white dots on a window. The window display is what other real estate
It's standard,
outfits
right, it's
in
standard display.
Bridgehampton and other places do, some with brighter lights than others. But in any case, that doesn't seem to be, anything that we should worry about. As you can see, the decorative or sloganeering dimensions on the west side of the property. And by the way, the horse's rear end is not part of this. Not part of this thing. There are two horses' rear ends there, so we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that in a moment, maybe, if extra piece of business. But in any case, as you can see, the window display is given, and I don't know about this neon element. That's I don't know how recessed it is or how close to the window it is, but. So I would myself recommend that we not, at this meeting, approve, that we would postpone consideration for this and have some process that we want to take place stated to the applicant. And the question is, is there something to report to the building department? Is that the first step we want to take, or is the first step to do some inquiry and discussion?
Well, if the applicant has already done this work, presumably following whatever the building department has advised. So there's a process, no?
No, there's no,
No?
the building
There's no
department
process?
doesn't have any say.
There's no,
The application was to change the awnings.
just to change the awnings.
Yeah, and nothing that mentioned the windows, although the application showed the windows being decorated appropriately in that manner. So the question is, the building department had no, I think, awareness of what was taking place.
Because they focused on the awnings.
I just wanted to ask, does the Bridgehampton Historic District include any recommendations on the windows? Because I agree, I think they're over the top. There's enough going on with that circle up there and it's too much. But that's just my opinion.
There's no
There's no
standard for window
no
display
standard, okay.
at this point in time. So.
All right.
I think there is some legal language required for real estate, but not all the marketing. There's certain information that is required by New York State for real estate agencies that has to be on the windows, but it's small. It's very specific, and it's not any of this, the marketing or the Netflix.
It doesn't, yeah, Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, my feeling is that certain types of things in small print and small impacts, advertising seen on Netflix, is whether or not that's relatively inoffensive, compared to having a lot more slogans inscribed on the windows.
Especially with the no boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
So do we want to postpone consideration?
I
Yes?
guess so, I don't know.
I think so.
But I think we should state
think there
a
he is,
path,
yeah.
whether or not we think it's better to report it as a violation issue for code enforcement, that this was done without a certificate of appropriateness. Is
Yeah.
that the path to take? Or do we want to engage with a back and forth with the applicant over what took place?
I would go with the violation, the code enforcement, because this brings it to.
That's a simple,
Well, it's simpler, but it also reinforces to the town and to code that this is what is required. This isn't going to be the only instance where we have changes to storefronts and changes to awnings, so we should need to have a process that needs to be observed.
Yeah,
Do you agree?
I agree.
well, if that's a consensus to the board, we'll report it to the code enforcement with respect to the installation without a certificate of appropriateness. Okay.
I mean, are we weighing like owner of the building versus tenants?
It was a tenant that made the application, but the owner gave the endorsement of the application. So
Everybody needs to know.
All right.
I think it actually will be issued by the building division since there's a pending building permit for the sign.
Okay.
So code enforcement doesn't get involved.
So then it does go back to the building department.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. All right, moving along then to 2195 Montauk Highway. It's the building with the 18 cars parked.
Are you here for that? I am. Oh, okay. Step up and
Thank you. Good evening.
Sean Leonard, the applicant. So the owner about 5 years ago constructed the fence, without the benefit of a permit. Didn't know it needed one. There were some other things that came up on the property, and we're trying to get an updated C of O. And that's when talking to the building inspector said, "Oh, by the way, there was not a permit filed for this," and so therefore we went ahead and did so, which brings us to you because it's in your jurisdiction.
All right.
The purpose of the fence was pretty much to create a little bit of a screening area for people to have some picnic tables and stuff.
the house is being used for residential purposes
Correct.
by employees of the owner.
Yeah, pretty much residential purposes, that's all it is for.
So this application is just for the fence?
Just the fence.
Just for the
That's
fence.
the only thing there, the fence was brought up, that's the only other issues that were on the property, everything else was.
You look at it from the road, this is Montauk Highway scene. It's, to me, minimal in terms of its impact. And, I don't see any problem.
With the fence? Right. Everyone okay with the fence? All right. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Have a great evening. All right,
You should have held up your hand earlier. You might have gotten to the top of the agenda.
I figured you wanted to stay with your agenda.
thank you. All right, thank you. All right, the referrals, 1040 Flanders Road. Landmark recommendation. I don't know this.
That's Methodist Point.
Pardon me?
Methodist Point.
Methodist.
That has been forwarded to the town board for consideration of landmark designation.
Right.
And I believe, I haven't heard back, but potentially July 24th, Julie and myself will be defending
All right.
before the scrutiny of the town board on the recommendation, so.
That's just a work session, that's
Yeah,
not
that-
a hearing.
Right.
The
Yeah.
hearing,
Was
is
August 22nd?
it August or July?
It's in, the hearing will be in August,
But they're setting the hearing
on the
on
22nd.
22nd, notice of
Right.
public hearing, and then
Resolution.
talk on Tuesday, talk on Thursday at work session, and yeah. That's that, and Hayground Road, right?
Yes, 439 Hayground.
Yeah, the
That was
same thing,
submitted,
that has
same
been
thing.
forwarded, and the,
You did forward it though, right?
yes.
That you did, yes.
And
Yeah.
it's, will be up for discussion with the work session with the town board.
And then for 292 Majors Path, we have the,
The
is that
applicant
appraisal? Or?
there has requested a pause on consideration. He had some feedback from the Community Preservation Fund, the Community Preservation Department, about historic easement acquisition. And they suggested that he invest to fix up the house a bit more before they give any consideration, and before then
Or they
the
go through the
landmark.
appraisal?
Yeah, and the landmark process designation would,
All right, so this will stay on the agenda for a while then, I think.
yeah, under the word probably pause.
Pause. Okay.
Pause until further
Hold.
communication with the applicant.
Are we okay then with 65 Old Riverfront?
That one still remains
Still
to be.
open?
Still open, yes.
Okay,
And
all right.
actually it has come to the top of my agenda.
Okay.
It's bubbling up.
Yeah.
All right, I know there's no news on Stony Brook Windmill. So, let's see, 11 Walnut. What's happening on 11 Walnut? Are we
Easement offer.
still,
Those are just,
Still?
it's just with,
still sitting there?
their offers have been accepted, but back and forth right now.
Ah, okay, and the same,
It's like a it's, it's a closing.
Yeah.
Technically.
and that's the same thing with
149.
149 South Country. Okay, and 29 Dock Road.
That one's done.
We're finished with that, yeah.
At what point does the landmarks board get involved in reviewing the terms of these easements?
Or do we?
Do you?
I don't think we've got, oh, yes?
Lisa, I don't know how many Lisa had done. I mean, there were only 5 prior.
When we first started doing it, the landmarks board actually took the lead.
On the boilerplate elements
Yeah.
and then specifics that might apply to a particular
Right,
property.
right. So these are, Dan is handling that.
There really needs to be some feedback from the landmarks board on those terms.
Absolutely. What sides, it's the whole house, it's the property, it's just north and west facade, whatever, landscaping, all of that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So when do we get involved? Well, let's
It's
discuss
become
that.
obvious that we've been kind of moved out of the process.
Marginalized.
Yeah.
Well, we need to
We need to
reinitiate
reinsert
that.
our role.
Exactly.
Yeah, and, yes.
Okay. All right, we'll follow up on that.
I would say there must be meetings that occur at CPF, perhaps, or there's a draft easement that's prepared. It should be, circulated to this board somehow.
Weren't we gonna have a representative from our board at these meetings?
Well, there's been there's a cultural legacy to the advisory board when it was predominantly pushing open space and preservation of farmland, stuff like that. And in the age of Mary Wilson, there was overtures made, and the decision was made not to put anybody with historic interest on the advisory board.
The Trails Advisory Board has been successful in getting somebody, so maybe, and the Ag Committee has always had somebody. I think it's about time landmarks
And
get a voice.
right, and that the issue was brought up again with Lisa Combra,
Right.
and
But Lisa's been gone
didn't-
for a while now.
didn't
Yeah.
mature.
Yeah.
And now we're in a different phase when there's, a little bit different structure and operations with Community Preservation Department. And we did have a Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago with Jacqueline Fenland to talk about issues of historic historic priorities and of having more say in the scheme of things. Basically, the meeting ended up with more communication between the parties has to take place, and so
I think we're having so 11 Walnut, 149 South Country, Dock Road, I think may have come through the Landmarks Board first for landmarking, and then to take advantage of the, CPF, Historic Facade Easement. Then there are others that are coming in with the CPF. So I think, and then you're unaware of those.
when they come in to shop for the potential of an easement that they might then get a landmark recommendation made for them, that's the kind of thing we don't know about.
Right,
And
right.
that's the kind of thing that,
Trying to
can
get all that
make
so that
some.
everyone's kind of all on the same
Well,
page.
let's see what we can do to sort of light that fire again. Jeff, I want to thank you for that, the great report on the North Sea Schoolhouse, on the insulation work. So now we have, that grant was for what, $5,291? So that is all approved. You've done the
I sent
inspection.
the pictures and the report to the town board as well.
Fantastic.
And
Nice job.
how are we going to handle that?
I think the next step is for the town board to do a resolution to reimburse them.
So to get Kelly to put a resolution in there,
And
okay.
I think we put together a package usually of the documentation of what was done. And, that supports the resolution.
Right, okay. Yeah.
That
I'll work
report
on
is,
it. I'll work
Like-
on trying to put that together.
Okay.
all right. I have nothing new on CLG. Is there any other new business? Any business we omitted to review tonight?
Oh, just one thing, I'm walking down Bridgehampton Main Street today for all the updating of what the status of the construction and COA activity was. Let's see, where is that? Excuse me. 24. Okay, so next to this building, there's been a change in the Chatfield House. That
It's not the House of Charm anymore.
Whoop.
I think that's what they called it.
Oh, we're
The
back.
House of Charm. It was an antique place forever.
my computer was running on battery,
Oh,
not
all
on the electric current.
right.
And let me just see if it will reawaken here. well, you saw the glimpse, I think, of the picture painted pink on the front of this Victorian, now it's a commercial establishment, but Victorian house. It's the establishment with the two horses that you caught a glimpse of briefly. So the question is, should we call attention to this? Is it offensive enough to the character of the district? Or should we let it pass? Or should we suggest they repaint it into, the upper level has the trim in a different color from the pink on the first level. And, that in itself is a bit of an oddity. Plus the pink itself is, designed to be brazen enough to call attention to the establishment, as well as the two horses that are kind of dressed in paisley on the outside there.
Is this for an art gallery?
Pardon me?
Was this for the art gallery? I'm trying to remember which.
It's called
FRWD.
View or
They
something.
had a
like
sign out in the front that said FRWD.
Right, yeah,
that. Yeah.
Were
FB.
they installed after the historic district?
Yeah, I think that's
Oh, yeah.
on there, right?
I think if they don't need a building permit, and you don't have any standards in the historic district,
That's right.
you kind of at a loss.
Well, color is one of the things that's reviewable
Only on things that need a building permit.
on things in the historic district.
Yeah, but the hook is the building permit.
Well, that's the problem of linking the control element of it.
Because Victorian colors can be awful.
But
Yeah, that's true.
in any case, my semi-dead computer here seems to.
Ed, is it just the trim that's pink, or was the whole?
It's the trim and the big front door.
But none of the shingle underneath
None of the
those.
shingles, right, the shingles.
Oh,
are
you're
still-
talking about, I thought you were talking about the horses.
No.
Oh,
The
okay.
house, the building.
house.
Oh, the
itself.
paint on the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is covered. But it's odd because you don't have to come to the building department to get a permit to paint.
Right.
Right.
So
There's
there's
a
no
need
way
to.
to notify somebody that you need a COA.
Right. So it's coming back to life.
Your barn is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
I wonder how other municipalities deal with that.
Pardon?
I wonder how other municipalities deal with things like that that don't need building permits.
Well, I mean, there are a number of things. The question is whether a tenant does it by themselves without the owner being aware. That's one kind of concern about trying to regulate it. And then the other question is getting the awareness to the responsible parties that
Does it
are there.
letter need to go out? For everybody to say, you're in a historic district.
Yeah.
These
Yeah,
lawn ornaments and
Yeah. One
craziness in the windows.
one thing that might be done, excuse me, might be done is that along with the tax bills, an insert be placed with respect to, for those in the historic district, giving alerts to what is required with respect to any changes in the appearance.
I think that was one of the recommendations in that recent seminar, webinar on historic districts and design standards, was that you really need to communicate with the property owners a lot. You need to send communications out. You keep them in the loop on what they can and can't do. So that's a good idea with the tax bill.
This is going to take a half hour to redo or reload Windows. So I would not suggest, I'll send the picture around just for
to the BB and be like,
everyone's edification. Yeah.
Did everybody sign up, or you don't have to sign up yet, but for that upcoming?
Yeah.
I think we did.
I
think we
haven't
did.
registered yet, but I do intend to.
So you just pay for it on your own, and once you get your certificate, send it into, I guess, to Renee, and then we'll reimburse you.
That goes for 2 days.
It's a 2-day webinar, yeah. But if you're registered for it and you don't get to watch it those 2 days, you have 90 days to go back and look at it.
Yeah.
I'm registered for this one.
Right.
$15. I couldn't watch it. Then I came back about a week later and watched it. Really easy.
Yeah. All right, do we have anything else? If not,
I think it's, if nothing else, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Ed, what do you think though about people putting up statues or artwork?
That question came up with respect to Dan.
Larry, do you know what the date is of that webinar? Yeah, was that one that Dave had sent an email?